We are back in the year 1987 as we continue our look at the Visionaries toy line by Hasbro. Back in our first look, we learned a brief history of the Visionaries and that the line only had one series made up of 12 figures and 4 vehicles. Of the 8 carded figures so far, we have looked at 3, Leoric and Arzon of the heroic Spectral Knights and KREED'S of the evil Darkling Lords. And today, we will continue with the Darkling Lord Cindarr, here on KREED'S Collection. Happy New Year, and welcome back to another episode of KREED'S Collection. Today we are checking out the evil Darkling Lord Cindarr from the 1987 toy line Visionaries by Hasbro. Cindarr is the oldest and least intelligent of the Darkling Lords. However, he has a very interesting quirk for a bad guy. He loves small animals. He goes out of his way to be kind to them to the point that he would even give up a fight to keep them out of harm's way. A stark contrast to his mystical personality, the gorilla, which gives him almost unstoppable destructive fury, or his magical totem of destruction, which allows Cindarr to cause earthquakes. And now that we know a little bit more about Cindarr, let's take a closer look. So like all Visionaries, Cindarr has a very high level of detail in his sculpt. His armor is really excellent with a lot of nice touches to it. As you get closer to the shoulder pads here, you can see these nice little studs. It's excellent. And then this hex pattern on the side of the helmet looks cool. As you come down to the leggings, you see they continue that hex pattern. And then his boots are incredible. I like the detailing on them, and they look like they could take a lot of damage. Cindarr's helmet fully covers his face, so here he is without it. And he definitely looks old, just like they implied, with him being the oldest of the Darkling Lords. It is kind of funny though, because he is the least intelligent, and usually wisdom comes with age. As we come around to the back of Cindarr, you can see that the detailing just doesn't stop. Where a lot of figures would slack on the backside, they certainly don't with Visionaries. They really go above and beyond. I mean, look at all the detail work here. I'm not sure what it's all supposed to be, but it looks really good. Even the back of the legs have quilting here, and you can see details on the boots. I feel like the designers were just allowed to go crazy, and it shows. Now I'll take a look at the mystical personality of Cindarr, the gorilla, a grotesquely muscular creature signifying his almost unstoppable destructive fury. Of course, the holograms are the big gimmick of Visionaries, and I'm really happy with how good this hologram still looks. Other than that small blemish by the mouth, it pretty much looks perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at Cindarr's accessories, starting with his helmet. The front here is closed off, which is pretty unique compared to the other helmets in the collection, or at least the good guys, because they all have open faceplates. Here on the back you can see that cool studding on the top of the head, and the hex pattern is also continued on the side. Next up we have Cindarr's mace. It's pretty cool looking, but basic at the same time. It's got a few little cracks in it, but I think that kind of adds to it. The mace does fit in his hand, although barely. When you stick it in, as you can see, it only goes in that far. If you try to push it in any further, I'm afraid it would break off the thumb. But hey, at least he can hold it. Visionaries kind of have an issue with that. And that brings us to his staff, which is nicely detailed like everything Visionaries. You can see there's a nice pattern here on the side, which continues around on the back. The staff has 2 different holograms on it. One is a dragon, which represents the Darkling Lords, and the other is like a little goblin with a blade that represents destruction. Destruction is Cindarr's magical totem. He calls upon this power to cause earthquakes, which split the earth and swallow up enemy strongholds. But sadly, Cindarr cannot hold his staff, like most Visionaries figures. But that's okay. I think he'd have a hard time utilizing destruction properly anyway. By nature's hand, by crafts, by art, what once was one, now fly apart. Yes, destruction is here to grant your request. Ah yes, I need for you to cause me an earthquake. Oh, but don't hurt any bunnies. No bunnies can be hurt. You want me to cause an earthquake without killing any bunnies? Yes, and no squirrels either. And no bear cubs either, while we're at it. And no foxes. 20 minutes later. And no turtles. Why would you hurt turtles? What weirdo hurts turtles? Now we're going to check out Visionaries articulation. They have a 90-degree bend at the knee, and they have the ball joint hips, which are pretty flexible and allow all different directions. Here at the middle, they have a rubber band like a G.I. Joe, so they can kind of flex around as well. Right here at the forearm, they have a swivel point as well as an elbow that can do 90 degrees. Shoulder can swivel up and around like so. Ball joint at the neck, which can look down and up as well as left and right. And that is it. That covers all of Visionaries articulation. On the bottom side of the figure, you can find the copyright information, 1987 Hasbro, made in China. Here's Cindarr's file card. If you'd like to read it, go ahead and pause now. And now for our He-Man size comparison. Cindarr's a little bit smaller than He-Man height-wise and quite a bit smaller girth-wise, but who would have ever guessed that this hero and villain share the same favorite color? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy retrospective for Cindarr from the 1987 toy line, Visionaries by Hasbro. Much like Voltron, our last giant review that we just finished, Cindarr was a Christmas gift from my mother. She always knows just what to give. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. And if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and it would help my channel grow. I do a retrospective on a toy from my vintage collection every Wednesday, so I hope to see you next week and every week after, here on Creed's Collection.